The video you are about to watch is a section from a much larger video that will be out soon. I say this because some of my criticisms reference earlier parts of this video, and it also all makes greater sense in that context. However, I thought this section was important, so I'm also putting it out on its own. Hello, I'd like to interject with some new information that I recently became aware of. So I'm planning to put this section of the video out as a video on its own. So if you're seeing this, it may be as the beginning to its own video, or else in the middle of my full video on the moral degenerate formerly known as Leia Heilpern. I only became aware of this information after I filmed the video, so what I'm filming now is an addition because it's relevant to what will follow, and it will go back to normal in a second. I would also, the reason I'm doing this as its own clip as well as its own video and also putting this part in is because I would like to give Leia, who is in full support of Tate in pretty much every way that I've seen, and who vocally defends his like of very young women, I'd like her to give her the opportunity to publicly denounce this.
So let's just watch this video about Vivian and we'll talk about it on the other side.
At it where I've had girls who say, oh, I know you're with Vivian, I know you've been with her a long time, I don't mind, I'll stay out tonight, you two stay alone, all that shit, but it never lasts long. Because the ones who are really in love with you won't do that. You actually have to downplay your relationship with the girl of 6 years. And I only get away with that because the girl of 6 years plays along. So Vivian's been with me
So he's been with Vivian for 6 years, right?
completely head over heels in love with me. She wants kids with me, everything. And we met and we felt whatever, we're in love. But when a new girl comes, she'll go, oh yeah, I started off working for him and it's just how it worked out.
So Vivian's in on the con, right? And so if you're being deceived, even in the love arena, in order to get you to sex traffic, in order to get you to do the webcam business, it's part of the forced fraud or coercion.
Super downplay us. When I bring on new girls, I usually pair them with Vivian. Because Vivian's younger. Melissa's like 28, Vivian's like 21.
Vivian's 21. And at this point, he's been her girlfriend for 6 years. So you do the math. It means that they met when she was 15 years old.
Fun, more outgoing. Melissa's really quite, not in a bad way, she's more homey, boring, sits at home. So if you're going to pair a girl with a girl, it's much easier if the girl's fun. So a description of your relationship process with Vivian. So yeah, that's how it started. I met Vivian in Slovakia. We had a long-term relationship thing. I was living in England. It's a really long story. I don't want to tell you the whole story. I moved her to England to be with me to start doing my webcam company, which I started. If you don't have a webcam company, you need to look into it, because as soon as you have a couple girls in love with you, it's the fucking easiest money in the world. No, I take that back. It's not easy money. You got to build it up. But once you get girls built up, then it's free money. Like every other business, you got to build it up. But I decided I want to start a webcam business. Vivian's beautiful. I said, look, stop being a waitress. Come here, live with me. She came. Everything was fine for a couple of weeks. Melissa obviously lived in England. They didn't know about each other. They found out. They tried to have a big argument with me. I did exactly as I said, downplayed it, didn't give a shit. Everyone moved in together. Everyone started doing webcam. I was making loads of money. Then we agreed to the split like we said. And that's basically been it. Since then, new girls have come along. Vivian understands that I'm fucking these hoes, but I don't care about these hoes.
So the manipulation involves Vivian. He has a penchant for younger girls.
When you run game like me and meet the women who I meet beautiful virgins. I'll do 2 or 3 virgins a year. A virgin when you're an ice cold player. There is a tactic.
Given that you regularly speak about how Andrew Tate is a personal friend of yours, Leia, that you cannot imagine him to be involved in any wrongdoing, and you loudly and proudly defend him from pretty much all criticisms or any doubts cast on his supposedly glowing character, I'm wondering what your comments are on Andrew Tate apparently admitting to dating a 15-year-old girl and then flying her to England to do camgirl work for him. As you are a believer that most of what is going on is just the Matrix trying to tear down a good man, I'm afraid that I must insist you provide a convincing reason why this is false, or Andrew Tate didn't mean it, or was lying, or we shouldn't take this seriously. Or why this isn't serious or something to be totally disgusted by. I want to hear this. This'll be good.
This clip of him very calmly talking and giving advice, we shouldn't take it seriously because I know he's innocent.
Which defence, Leia, are we going to go with now?
Okay, well, I'll admit on the surface, like this doesn't look great for Andrew, but you guys have got to remember that Andrew speaks in a lot of hyperbole. He must have only met her when she was 15, and I know Andrew personally. So clearly he clearly probably only started her on camera when she turned 18. And I don't think I think it's ridiculous to call this grooming or anything like that, because actually, fun fact, you guys, what makes this totally fine is that in Slovakia the age of consent is 15. Yeah, so as his friend, there's obviously nothing wrong with this. This is another case of the Matrix and the media attacking a masculine man for just being healthy in his sexuality and healthily expressing interest in younger women, like 15 years old. Come on, you superficial, self-obsessed bimbo. I want to hear you say it. I want you to defend this. I want you to reveal yourself so we can all see just how deep the moral rot goes. In fact, I extend this challenge to all Tate fans. I want to hear you defend this. Defend being with a 15-year-old. Just take the mask off, you predatory pieces of shit, and prove that you don't care about this. Or else I want to hear the cope. I want to hear it. I want to hear the defences. I want to see the extent you will go for him. I want to see just how far you're in the cult. Oh no, that's part of his character, it's hyperbole, it's just to make him appear more cool, because, dating and exploiting teenagers, that is hyper-masculinity, guys, what we need to embrace to fight the New World Order. He just wants men to be more masculine. There's nothing wrong with this. He didn't mean it. And don't think you can be silent on this and that makes it okay. No. I am speaking right now to every single creator who has been publicly defending Tate as a good guy and who treats women well. Who treats women not just, but as is natural, as they should be treated. As #masculinity. Everyone who has accused those who don't like him of being brainwashed by the Matrix or being unfair. I want an update video where you give your thoughts on this. You can debunk it or support it. Either one. Go for it. Do your best. But either way, do something. Because otherwise, I'm going to assume that you think it is acceptable to have a relationship with a 15-year-old girl and then get her doing sex work for you, but you're just too cowardly to publicly admit it. If you've got a good defense, I'll hear it. Tell me. But say something. Well, that's what I'm assuming. And I don't care about the other claims about him. We're not talking legal. Fuck that for now. Tell me what you think of what he said here. Tell me what you think of this. Just this. This is your hero. Fuck me. Trapping young girls. Oh, yeah, he's really the poster boy for freedom. Freedom against tyranny. This is your masculine standard. Wow. What sort of man dates a 15-year-old girl, and what sort of men cover for him, shut their eyes and ears to it, pretend he never said it, or who still herald him as a good man? Men I would spit on in the street. There's nothing masculine about that, cult-like followers. That goes for you too, Leia. This man is your friend. Wow, you can pick him, can't you? Here is your opportunity, Leia, here is your opportunity to publicly condemn what he just said there. I'm going to give you and others the benefit of the doubt and assume that you had no idea he said this, but if you remain silent on the issue, I will then have to assume that actually you do know and you don't care, and it's more comfortable and beneficial for you to ignore this. That it serves yourself more. That you don't want the embarrassment. I hope you do show a bit of bloody courage and decency for once, Leia, and say something about this. I would not hold that against you. I would respect that. I'll go back to the initial video now, and you'll see why I included this extra clip beforehand. It adds more context. Just every time I say 18 in the upcoming clip, if you like, you could swap that out for 15 and imagine that I have 10 times the fury. And as for what I think of this clip of Tate, well, unless something miraculous comes out to prove why I shouldn't take him at his word here, and why even if it's the case that he lied, why that's okay, unless a miracle of that sort happens, what's my current position on Tate? He can rot.
Another really controversial topic is the fact that Andrew talks about liking younger girls. Now, a lot of these clips that we see of Andrew have actually been taken out of context. So when he talks about younger girls, we're not talking about women who are younger than 18.
I mean, except when he was wildly inappropriate with that 17-year-old girl live on camera, but carry on.
I don't think he's ever said that. I've never heard Andrew say he's into young girls. He's talking about women in their 20s as opposed to women in their 30s and 40s.
But then you were in a debate where you argued that it's okay for him to value teenage girls over women in their 20s. So which is it? Because it seems to keep getting younger and younger, Leia, and you keep justifying it. Speaking of, here's that clip of her conversation on Piers Morgan, and after I play this, I have a rant incoming, because this, taking into account the wider context of what exactly it is she's defending, made me hate her. I'm not kidding, she is a terrible person.
Yeah, I don't think he said anything wrong. I think all he's doing is talking about reality. And I don't think it's misogynistic to say you prefer a woman that's 18 versus 25. It's literally just a sexual preference. It's the same reason why young women prefer older men.
Just to jump in, I don't think...
Yeah,
but I don't think that's the misogyny. I had this argument with my sons earlier when they saw the clip. The misogyny isn't that he has a preference for girls of 18, 19, over 25. The misogyny is in the way he talks about every woman who's 25,
but that's
as if they're all the same and they've all been through this tawdry background which he finds so distasteful. That's obviously ludicrous.
Well, I think he speaks with a lot of hyperbole. His goal was to go viral. Obviously, as Esther mentioned, not all 25-year-old women have been sleeping with every single man that they meet in the nightclub. So there's always exceptions. But I just think in general, a 25-year-old woman obviously has had more experience than an 18-year-old woman. And some men prefer that. Some men don't like that. And I think that's completely fine.
So I'm planning on doing a video on this in the future with this red pill obsession with 18, 19-year-old girls. Not saying it's everyone, but don't tell me there aren't people who say that. I've heard them. They're very prominent people. Because, like, red pillers or, like, guys online talking about this, I've noticed something interesting. They seem to have this, like, bizarre idea that when other people, but also Andrew Tate, talks about 18 and 19-year-olds being the best girls, lots of people and lots of red pillars seem to think that people are outraged on behalf of older women. I'd like to just explain something to you and set something straight. Okay. You guys think all these older women can't stand not being desirable, so they hate it that men want the teenagers, and that's what's driving the rage toward this. Like, it seems to be that you think it's older women's jealousy of younger women that's pushing this, whereas I would say it's older women's understanding of and protective instincts towards younger women. Actually, that's what's pushing this. The problem I have is not what's being said about older women. Is it rude? Yes. Does it make me furious? Not really.
I just think in general, a 25-year-old woman obviously has had more experience than an 18-year-old woman, and some men prefer that, some men don't like that. And I think that's completely fine.
You know what I would like? Please, can we stop describing teenagers as women? I know technically, legally they are, but I hear the phrase 18-year-old woman and it sounds like an oxymoron. Same with 18-year-old man. It sounds ridiculous, because it is. See, my youngest sister just turned 18, and she's a lot of things. She's smart, responsible, mature, talented, independent, can probably take care of herself fairly well, is capable of verbally tearing someone apart, is also incredibly irritating. Sure, she's all those things. She is many things. But a woman is not one of them. Not yet. Legally. But in reality, she is not a woman. She is a girl. All her friends? They're girls. She's still at school. She still has to wear a school uniform and put her hand up if she wants to go to the toilet. I feel like the people who are saying they just don't know any, like, 18 or 19-year-olds. Or they've only come across them, like, in a club when they're all glammed up and trying to pretend that they're adults when they're just not, and they're fucking pretending that they're more mature and older than they are. Are any of you seriously telling me that you would look at a group of 18-year-olds? Like, after school, there's a group of 18-year-olds, 18-year-old kids hanging out. Are you seriously telling me you would look at a group of 18-year-olds and describe them as a group of women? I blame Americans for casting people in their late 20s as high schoolers. Now everyone has a warped perception of what real teenagers look and act like. So you can stop with the disingenuous bullshit that people are just angry that Tate is attracted to fertility and youth. No. The reason people are angry is because he talks about how if they're 18 or 19 years old, they're easier to mentally control. You guys then try to flip that like the scummy little liars you are. No, he didn't mean that. He's just saying that girls that age are sweeter and nicer and prettier because they're younger and they haven't had time to turn into feminists yet. Fucking bullshit. That's not why he goes for them. He goes for them because they are easier to control. He has said that several times. Sugarcoat it however you want, you degenerate fucks. But we all know that's why. He has said that's why. And if you are still denying that, given everything else he has said, you are so dishonest. Childlike is what he means. The younger you are, the more gullible you are. Can't believe some of you idiots needed Tate to come along and tell you that. Young girls are really high in agreeability. They find it really hard to say no, especially if someone is being nice, even if they don't want to do something, even if they're feeling incredibly uncomfortable. Andrew Tate knows that. I myself have struggled with that. It's something most women I know only learn to cope with in their 20s, and I think that's the actual reason that Andrew Tate likes teenagers. To exploit them. He literally said it himself in that clip you watched there, you stupid. But you'll just deny it and lie for him even when he's not even covering for himself. This is what I meant in the past when I've said that Tate doesn't understand women. He doesn't. He understands how to manipulate girls. I think he understands how to manipulate girls very well. Do you have a younger sister, Leia? Just turned 18? I'm going to guess that you don't. I don't think you would be coping so hard for Tate if you did, because I'll describe that feeling of hearing someone in his 30s talk about how he manipulates girls the same age as my baby sister into doing camgirl work, how he chooses them specifically because they are so naive and trusting and easy to mindfuck. It's a primordial rage I didn't know I had in me until it bubbled up from somewhere deep, a disgust that I feel with every inch of my being, and it has everything to do with a protective love over how vulnerable and stupid and young I know 18-year-olds are, and nothing to do with being upset that I might be too old for the creepy man with a camera.
Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody. Tell your girl that you're paying the tax. Because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work. One is another control element.
You want to blow up the internet? I'll blow up the internet right fucking now. The reason 18 and 19-year-olds are more attractive than 25-year-olds is because they've been through less dick. Whereas a 19-year-old might have had one guy from high school, just broke up, she's fresh, and I can fucking put my imprint on her and make her a good person, and without her having to go through all that detriment to learn about life.
You're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? Say, I'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So, okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. You, your bottom bitch, the new girl, you go out for fucking a nice dinner. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear from a girl. And this is why your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
You can program them. They are programmable beings. They're designed to be programmed. You just have to be a large enough force to program them. That's all you have to be a force in nature.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time. Straight street pimping is a completely... In fact, no, it's not a completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same.
There's been scenarios where a girl hasn't acted quite right over something small, not a big transgression like cheating. Then I continue to see her, but my demeanor towards her changed. And my demeanor towards her didn't change much in day-to-day life, right? But it changed when we had sex. And she smelt it and she could feel it. And it hurt her bad. Go from all that nice shit to just fucking her like she's, but not in a good way like she's nothing. In a bad way like she's nothing.
It's because in that moment, you have her in her most vulnerable place.
That's right.
Oh, it's certainly harder to find innocent hot girls because hot girls are absolutely and utterly corrupted because they're an asset that men try and corrupt.
I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them so they listen to me, so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a shitload of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give it all to you. Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money. So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence. And you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you. And this is extremely important, because at the beginning she will need you, but then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
Fallacy, that's his word. And what is fallacy? Fraud.
If they don't believe you or they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax forms. They don't know what they're fucking signing. Let's throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real's happening. Nothing's happening except me getting rich, bitch.
This, by the way, is why I've gone so hard on you in this video. Because if a 36-year-old man knowingly, calculatingly, and intentionally psychologically manipulated my little sister into sex work, you would be publicly defending him because she's an 18-year-old woman. And not only that, but you'd still be loudly insisting that he's a good man and would actually have the audacity to describe him as protective and caring towards his girlfriends and accuse anyone who said different of unfair slander. And I'm just imagining what it would be like having to listen to you publicly parrot his virtues with a brain-dead smile on your face if my teenage sister was involved, and I can't quite describe how that makes me feel towards you. I think you'd be shocked at how strong my feelings are. I imagine the term murderous rage was coined under similar conditions. I don't think you could understand this emotion unless you knew a girl that age that you loved more than your own life, had watched her grow, saw how young and vulnerable she still is. If one day you have a daughter who reaches 18, then maybe you'll get why I think you're such an unbearable cunt. She's still at school, you fucking bitch.
And I don't think it's misogynistic to say you prefer a woman that's 18 versus 25.
She gets into trouble if she hasn't done her homework. Do you understand that? Just think of that right now in your mind, what that means. She still has to say things like, sorry sir, no I wasn't chewing gum. Oh miss, can I have my phone back? Sir, please can I go to the toilet? No miss, I wasn't talking at the back of the classroom. Do you get that? Do you understand that she's not an adult like people in their 20s are adults? She's still under the authority of adults. How easy do we think it is for someone in their mid-30s to convince a teenager who is used to trusting and being under the authority of adults to do what they're told? And not just anyone in their mid-30s, someone who's made a career out of doing that. On a scale of 1 to rot in fucking hell, how depraved would we consider an individual who's selling a course on how to teach men to control and manipulate naive young girls into sex work?
How can you be offended by somebody's sexual preference? And this is nothing new either. I think a lot of this stuff with Andrew, he's saying what everybody else is thinking. Men, since the dawn of time, have preferred younger women for whatever reason, and that's okay.
I know you're like throwing out, well, that's an emotional reaction all the time, Leia. Damn right, this is an emotional reaction. Yes, I'm full of emotions right now. It doesn't make me wrong, though. You'll like these emotions, though, Leia. These are good emotions. These emotions are hardwired into me from feminine, maternal, protective instincts. You think these are good tradwife emotions, so where the fuck are yours? As a final note to all Tate fans, as far as I can see, there are 2 appropriate responses to the earlier clip of Tate talking about Vivian. If you have a debunking that puts this clip into a totally different context, or you don't, but you don't see a problem with it anyway, then it would be immoral of you not to defend it, because then you are betraying Andrew Tate and you are allowing this mark against his character to stand uncontested when you could change that. That makes you a coward. Option 2 is you find this indefensible, in which case it would also be immoral of you not to say so because you find it more comfortable to pretend it isn't true. That also makes you a coward. Either one of those responses I suppose you could justify, but to ignore it completely is utterly unacceptable. As Leia is a journalist dedicated to the truth, despite having presented selective information in the past, an honest mistake I am sure, going forward I'm certain that she wouldn't suppress or ignore information that contradicted a narrative she wanted to present. I have hope she's above such dishonest behaviour that she's constantly criticising the mainstream media for, and thus I eagerly await her response.